Hey guys, welcome to Becoming Soulful Couple. And I have recently taken an initiative on addressing only wives. Initially, we started addressing all the newly married couple or yet to be married couple. But I thought the pain point is more with the married couple who are more than 5 years in the marriage. And I thought I'll address wives exclusively because wife is a key person in a family to make the entire family happy. And we are doing a lot of interviews with like-minded people who will come and share their best practices and ideas to make a family happy. So the agenda or the intention of me doing that is I don't want any divorces happening. I don't want any single parenting happening. I don't want any husband and wife living like roommates and uh, behave like strangers inside the home. And all these happens after 5 years of marriage or 10 years of marriage. They start living like strangers in the same home. So we need to bring a lot more activities, a lot more ideas into how to make couples happy. And the key person here is the wife. And I have a lot of well wishers coming onto our channel and sharing their ideas. And today I have yet another very interesting person. And her name is Sheila, and she is a master spirit life coach, the very apt person to speak about how a wife can keep herself happy and be more authentic, and then she can spread her happiness to her husband and her children and family. And one more interesting factor is she is an author who has written a book, and I'm going to invite Sheila to introduce herself and look at the name of the book. It's called I Complete Me. And this is what I want every wife to feel when each individual completes themselves. They don't expect anything else from others, and she is happy, and the husband is happy. So, welcome onto the show, Sheila Mathilakat. Come on.
Hi.
Welcome onto the show, and please introduce yourself.
Yeah. And hello,
Vimla. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. It's really lovely being here. And I like the fact that you pronounce my name fairly perfectly.
How do you pronounce his second name?
You pronounce it as Mathilakat.
So how do you pronounce?
Mathilakat.
L-A-K.
No, it's okay.
It pronounced as G-A-T-H. Yeah.
Yeah, Mathilakat.
Yeah. So let's stick on to Sheila.
You will stick on to Sheila. That's what I use everywhere because that's the easiest to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sheila, introduce yourself.
Yeah. So my, like you said, I identify myself in the outside world as a master spirit life coach and an author. But before I wrote this book actually came out of my conversation with various clients that I've been working with over the years. And the common thread through all these conversations was that we all have been conditioned to do a lot of self-neglect. We've never been taught how to do self-care. We've never been taught how to be happy. We've never been taught how to put ourselves first or, really take care of ourselves. And that is why I actually sat back and said, okay, this is something that we need to discuss. I myself have been in a marriage where I knew how I used to treat myself. Not very well. Yeah, because, in a house, when you're there, I've seen that most of the women actually start having their breakfast only by around 11:30, 12.
Sometimes no breakfast.
Yes,
we give coffee to everybody. We serve hot food to everybody. But finally, when it comes to us, we don't even eat. We don't even heat the food and eat. We don't heat the coffee and drink.
Absolutely. Yes. I remember eating cold noodles from the fridge. I mean, there has been time in my
if the husband asks, if the children ask, we go and eat it. If you are hungry, no, let's eat it just like that. Why should I? Because
absolutely,
it's not important.
Yeah. And that is why I realized that I need to write this book, which because we grew up believing that, there is a Prince Charming who will come riding on his horse and will sweep us off our feet and take us, and then we'll live happily ever after.
Princess and the Frog.
Absolutely.
I
The thing
quoted
is
this
that,
in one of my session. My favorite book. I quoted this one of the session, and our entire
yeah.
teenage, our entire life
Huh.
is dreams around marriage and the prince and the prince.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. The only thing is that none of the Disney films show what happens after the prince gets married to the princess. So, coincidentally, there is a very beautiful film on Amazon Prime, Cinderella. It's a newer version of Cinderella. I would encourage every woman to see it because it's where Cinderella is ambitious and she doesn't want to be just a princess and wear pretty clothes and shut up. You know, she wants to have opinions. She wants to be the equal in the marriage. And most of us women, we've been conditioned to say my better half. In fact, you know, it's not just women, even men say my better half. The thing is, if we are already thinking that the other person is half, you know, and we are half, which is why we're going to attract another half who will make us whole, we will only be two half people in a relationship. Because life is a mirror, you need to be complete yourself before you can attract another person who's whole and complete themselves and who will support you and in your growth, and you will support them in their growth. Because ultimately marriage is about two people coming together, not because they need to come together and, you know, they are with each other out of necessity or because they have no other way out, or they are women especially say we are financially we are dependent on the husbands, so you know we have no way out. I have to stick with him even whether he's an abuser, whether he's a drunkard, or just plain, like you use the word, whether we are roommates and we have no connection with each other. I have to stay with him because I have no other way. The thing is, when you start working on yourself, you will be in the relationship because you choose to be in the relationship.
Can you repeat
And
that? I want all the women and the husbands to listen to this. And I want to interrupt here, Sheila. Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
When we say you need to work on yourself, it applies for both.
It applies for both. Absolutely.
So whatever tools we are giving here are the tools for marriage. So when it comes to marriage, it is meant for both the partners.
Yes. And more than marriage, I would say, Vimla, these are tools for life. These are tools to make your life better. Yeah, for anyone. And I believe self-love has no gender. In fact, nothing has any gender. Our soul has no gender. So when we need to work, so when I'm saying when you start working on yourself and when you start recognizing your value and you start recognizing that connection with yourself, you automatically mirror that in your marriage. Yeah. You will automatically mirror that in your romantic relationships. Now there is a very interesting thing that I've been learning, and that is that, you know, we all go through conditioning and woundings in childhood. We face a lot of rejection, abandonment, guilt, shame, humiliation. These are common human emotions that we go through. And it is said that when you get into marriage not because you found your soulmate. You get into marriage because you are now here to heal all your woundings. You're here to heal all your childhood woundings. And if we don't heal it here now, what we are doing is, because we're carrying, you know, transgenerational trauma, we are carrying all the conditionings across the years, where we are carrying the pain and wounds of our mother, our grandmother, our great grandmother, and everyone there. We will then pass it on to our children and all the generations forward. And if you are hearing this, you have been given this privilege of healing yourself so that you heal 7 generations behind and 7 generations forward. And isn't that such a wonderful thing?
Yeah, because all these kind is never taught. And I would like to share my input here is when a girl gets into a marriage, or when a boy gets into a marriage, because even husbands are getting harassed nowadays by in-laws or wife or whatever it is. We go with a lot of expectation of living our life, but we are never taught that the elders in the family have already been wounded and they haven't yet healed themselves, and they expect and they operate from their wound. And you're like, what's happening here? We don't understand your wound. I'm coming from an entirely different background and I don't know how to heal you. I don't even understand that you're wounded.
Yes.
Because nobody takes the responsibility of healing their inner child wounds. And this legacy keeps on transferred from generation to generation. And that is that is why marriages go for a toss, because the concept of even a grown-up man or a grown-up woman will haven't had their inner child wounds healed, because they
Yes.
don't get the idea that there is something like that. Number one, nobody teaches them that. And the new person who comes into the family don't have any clue about that family elders wounds, and they also don't have a clue that they are operating from their wounds. That is why there's a lot of jokes around mother-in-law, father-in-law,
Yeah.
fights and everything. And the TVs don't take, or the TV serials or the films don't take the responsibility of introducing this concept. And they play
Yes.
around still with the emotions of marriages.
Yeah.
So could you please elaborate more on that inner child wound, which is one of my favorite topic. And I took 25 years to understand this. What went wrong with all the marriages? What is going wrong? Though I come from a medical and psychiatric background, I took 25 years to understand that adults in the family are wounded. They don't realize that. And the new member in the family is expected to address from their wounds, which is so crazy. And it's continuing even after education, even after a lot of advancement, technology advancement, the same plight for every woman and a man who gets into a marriage. Whatever happened 20 years back is still alive and fresh now. So please talk about this inner child wound a lot, and how adults can heal themselves. First the adults, and then get married.
Yeah. Absolutely. Actually, I like that concept very much. I always advise my younger clients that the first thing that you need to do is heal yourself before you get into a marriage. Okay, because then you're not going in with all your old baggage. You'll go with fresh baggage, because human life is such. We are like onions, will be layer after layer after layer. But at least the old one is not taken into the marriage. Now, inner child as a concept is not understood by a whole lot of people. Inner child is nothing but your, let's say, to put it most simplistically, it is your subconscious, which holds all the memories and images right from generations. So they're all there, and everything that you've gone through. Now, when we say wounds, they need not be big wounds. When you say a wound of abandonment, let's say a child is crying. You are a child of 2 or 3, you have a younger brother, and you have asked your mother for something, but your mother hears your brother crying. So she doesn't tell you anything, and she walks away into the other room to look after the younger child, which is a natural instinct of any mother, wouldn't you say? But as a child, you say, oh, I am not that important. My brother is more important. And there it starts saying that I am not loved as much. And let's say your mother is taken to your mother is very unwell and goes off to the hospital. You as a kid don't know what happened to your mother. And you say, oh, my mother has abandoned me. I'm always abandoned. And as you grow up, these start becoming festering and becoming huge wounds in your entire body. And we all store these wounds in our body as emotions.
My own example, I was always a working mother. I was always a working mother. And I left my children at the age of 2.5. My second daughter was left in a creche. And that might be an abandonment for her. I was not available physically, mentally for my child because I was always working. So that might be an inner childhood for her. Now she understands the benefit of me being a professional mother, a professional mom. Now she understands, but that inner child wound has already damaged the subconscious mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is not to, kind of guilt trip all the mothers who are listening here. You didn't know. And we don't know that we are carrying the wounds of our parents also. Because let's say you are in your mother's womb, you don't know what emotions she had been going through. Right? And life was much harder at that point of time. And think about your mother in her mother's womb. It was even worse time. So we are carrying all the emotions, thoughts, feelings of our ancestors and right from our great grandmother's grandmother, mother, into our psyche, and we are holding on to it. And unless we actually open it up, look at it, understand it, and then do the processes for releasing it, it never goes away. We just replicate it in our romantic relationships. We just replicate it in our family relationships. We replicate it in our offices. And that's what we do. So it's very important that, again, inner child healing is a huge subject. So the first thing that you need to do is find a efficient inner child healing therapist and then start working on it. But the first, most simplest way that you can do it also is that, look into the mirror. And when you look into the mirror, look into your eyes. As you look into your eyes for, let's say, about 4 minutes, something strange starts happening. You start feeling very emotional, or you feel the tears flowing out. It is your inner child looking out at you. And your inner child is just asking you, where have you been so long? Because a child has been alone for such a long time. So if you just stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself in the eyes and say, I love you, I accept you, no matter who you are, I'm here to love you. I'm here to tell you all the things that you wanted to hear. Like, what are things that as a child you wanted to hear? Maybe you wanted to hear your mother say, I love you. Maybe you wanted your mother to say, you are important to me. So when you go there, stand, look into your eyes and just say those things. That is your first level of healing that you can start. And once you start the process, it's very easy. Then you will be, because that's how the universe works, you will be drawn to teachers, books, or videos, which will show you how to go about further in this path. But just take the first step.
Yeah, I want to ask you one question, Sheila, because I liked when you say you replicate. That's when I always say that we get hurt somewhere and we bleed on somebody else.
Yes.
So that happens many times and we don't realize that we take it out on somebody else. Usually when we talk about all these, the audience who are watching are thinking that when you say you have to go to a therapist, it is heavy for them. Why should I go to my therapist? Even among my relatives, when I ask them to go and say that if something has gone wrong in your life, go take some help, self-help, and then proceed your life, they don't understand. They don't understand at all. They think it is not for me. All these people who are psyching us on all these concepts are talking some nonsense, because for us, it is always survival trips. Studying, going for work, doing a career, earning money, and then not even understanding that something is not up to the mark in our family. They don't realize that. So can you even more simplify it in a normal language for people to understand what we are speaking? I'm coming from that background and I love all these concepts, all whatever you are talking, I have applied in my life. And that's why I said 25 years I took to learn the tools and techniques to be sane myself, to understand what's going right in my life, what's going wrong in my life, and how can I fix few things so that I don't compromise on the standards I set for myself, and how to be assertive enough to add value to myself, my family, and the society. Our life gets complete only when we add value to the society as well. So if an individual has to prepare to add value to that extent of making some impact in others' life, then all these are very, very important. But most of us are taught to go to school, earn money, and then they're not even happy in their family. Then how they're going to add value to the society?
Yes.
Can you simplify whatever you said so that people buy in? Let's not go into detail into going and approaching a therapist, healing our inner. Can you talk in a normal terms? Because I completely understand what you said. I have done this in my life. That is what I'm going to say to all my audience. But very few people understand this. But we are talking to daily life, common things what people can do. Simplify.
So let me give you a very simple exercise, a simple example. Okay, let's imagine that you're in your house and you're very hungry. You're extremely hungry. You look around in your house and you can't find anything to eat. You open your fridge and you see it's empty. Either the vegetables have rotted away or it's completely empty. There's nothing, not a shred for you to eat. And you're so hungry, you don't know what to. Let's also assume that it's lockdown, so you can't go out. And then suddenly someone comes with a burnt piece of toast and gives it to you and says, hey, Vimla, take this burnt toast, take this toast. You are hungry, right? When you're very hungry and you have nothing to eat, what will you do, Vimla?
You grab it.
You'll grab it and eat it, right? Okay, now let's take a next scenario. Your kitchen is stocked with the most exotic fruits and vegetables, and you've got a lot of ready to cook meals. You've got meals ready, your fridge is stocked, you've got juices, you've got lots of things to eat, and you're hungry. You're just opening the fridge to pick up, and someone comes with a burnt piece of toast and says, hey, Vimla, take this burnt piece of toast. What will you say now?
I will not.
You will not take the burnt piece of toast. You'll tell him, you know what, him or her, you'll tell them that, listen, come, I've got really great food here, let me give it to you. And that is what we are saying that every person needs to do. That is self-care and self-love, because unless you are well stocked, you have nothing to give another person. Unless you are filled with love, only when you're filled with love for yourself can you even have something to give other people. And the other part of it is, remember, because the world is reflecting whatever you feel inside of you. So if you don't feel too much of love for yourself, or you don't feel too much of connection for yourself, the other people also cannot connect with you. So when we are disconnected in the world, or when we feel, you know what, I'm lonely, I don't have any friends, no one understands me, my husband doesn't understand me, he doesn't talk to me, we don't vibe, it's because you don't vibe with yourself. You are not connected to yourself. So these are simple things that you have to start learning. And again, that exercise where you just hold yourself, hug yourself. Okay, if it's difficult to hug yourself, don't. Just place your hands on your heart, yeah, and say, I love myself. I love myself. That's it. And it's not selfishness. A lot of people think that, self-love is selfishness. It's not. Selfishness is where you do things without any regard for anyone else. You'll do your thing, doesn't matter whether your child is cared for, whether your mother-in-law is cared for, whether your husband is cared for. That is selfishness. But in self-love, you will ensure that you are cared for and everyone else around you are also cared for. And when you take care of yourself better, you will take care of your babies, your husband, your in-laws, your friends, even your pets will be much better taken care of.
Lovely, Sheila. But why people are finding it so difficult to go and stand in front of the mirror and do one ritual like I love yourself? Why it is becoming so difficult? Now, even now, if people are watching this video, they'll be watching. They'll be watching. They'll not take the action.
They'll not.
Why?
Yeah. See, when we are very young kids, we love being in front of the mirror. We'll blow ourselves a kiss and we're very comfortable in our skin. We don't say, oh my God, look at my round stomach or look at my big hips as a baby. You don't do that. But as you start growing up, what happens is you start hearing people say things. We are always corrected with punishment. We've never been praised. Do you recall ever being praised? We are praised behind our back and we are scolded in front of our face. We are always told what not to do. And mainly it's because our parents didn't want us to be vain. They felt, talking about yourself or taking care of yourself is something which is vain. I remember in my house, the mirror used to be covered with a cloth because my mom felt that, you shouldn't be spending so much of time in front of your mirror doing it. So they were right in what they were doing from their consciousness. But what happens is as we start growing up, knowing only that how to criticize ourselves. Criticizing ourselves becomes the go-to method. That is our way of making ourselves grow. In school also, we were punished and criticized all the time. So when we make this a habit of talking about ourselves much more appreciatively, than all this putting ourselves down, other people will also talk about us as appreciatingly. So
beautiful. So
you have to just start.
What is one more tip to complete oneself? and how to break the broken beliefs. Talk about broken beliefs as well.
Broken beliefs. Now the
See,
thing
your
is,
mom, your mom said standing
Yeah.
in front of the mirror is not healthy.
yes,
Probably in those days, we are not supposed to be so obsessed with our looks or whatever. Even
Yeah.
my mom used to say so many things. You have to
Mm.
bend your head and go.
Yeah.
Now, if I bend my
Yeah.
head and go, I don't know what is happening. I have to travel in the night.
Yeah.
I have to travel to my office. I
Mm.
can't keep bending and going like this. Women
Mm.
should bend their, all those rules were okay, fine, applicable those. There are so many rules for both men and women, which is no more applicable. Men should not go to the kitchen, and it spoils your manliness, is a broken belief.
Mm. Yes.
So
Also,
talk about the impact of broken beliefs in completing myself.
the thing is, what we don't realize is that what we're constantly talking in our head is what is creating the reality outside. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not the other way. Our thoughts create our emotions. Our emotions create our experiences, and our experiences then go back and validate those beliefs that we have. So if we've been told right from childhood men shouldn't cry, right? Men have been told, why are you crying like a girl, लड़की जैसे रोते रहते हो, हमेशा जब भी देखो घर में बैठे रहते हो. They keep saying that as a boy you are supposed to be going out, and if a girl does the same thing, going out, she's called a tomboy. So these are various labels which we have, and we start believing all these. And you have to understand that even now women, girls, young girls are being prepared for their life, for marriage, whether it's the education they do, the colleges they attend, the jobs they take. Most of them are still saying, this is so that you get a good groom.
I want to interrupt here.
Yeah.
So we bring up sons and we bring up
Yeah.
daughter-in-laws. We don't
Yes,
bring up
absolutely.
daughters. We bring up daughter-in-laws.
We bring up daughters-in-law. Yes, that's true. And what happened in this kind of a scenario is that no matter what your achievement, you are only looked at, even if you get a Padma Shri, when you come back, your relatives will say, oh yes, Padma Shri and all is okay, but what about your marriage? Now, how will you get a groom? That is it. And the saddest thing is boys are prepared the same way. They are said to go to school, go to colleges, the jobs that they take. It's because they are told over and over and over again that you have to support your entire family. So can you imagine the pressure that those kids go through, the boys go through, when they said that you have to start a family? Women are never taught that, you have, it's giving me goosebumps because this is something that I very passionately feel about. Women and men are never taught that you are equals in a relationship. And you both have to support yourself, both have to grow together, and both have to support each other's expansion. Because we are like trees, we grow. We are not this slender beanstalk which grows up. It's not like that. We grow and we expand, and when we grow and expand, our partner has to grow and expand with us. That is when a true marriage, a true relationship, marriage also is not necessary, I'm saying a true relationship, romantic relationship happens there. But for that, we as parents now, we have to be conscious about how we are bringing up our kids, and we as parents have to start working on our mindset and say, okay, these beliefs have not worked for me, so let me start and put in new beliefs. For instance, let's say men are taught it's unmanly to cry. It's a belief. So how do you can transform it by repeatedly saying that men are sensitive too. Yes, if there is a belief that a woman should not earn more money than a male, and a lot of women come to me and they say, what, if I earn more money than my husband, it's going to cause a lot of problem in my household. So there is this belief that women should earn slightly lesser. Now the glass ceiling which we have is something that we have created with our conditioning, our mindset. So when you say that, earning money should not have any gender, there you can be a house husband, your wife can be working. You can be a housewife and still not feel low. If you get happiness by staying in the house and taking care of the house so that your partner can go out and work, so be it, but don't feel low. Because so many housewives who are not working say that, What do? I'm just a housewife. You are not just a housewife. My God. It took me a long time to realize that about myself also. I'm the chauffeur, I'm the nurse, I'm the cook, I'm the ayah, I'm the
That,
manager.
that comes on a Mother's Day and Women's Day. That poster comes on a Mother's Day and Women's Day, and then it's forgotten.
Then it's forgotten. And we forget it ourselves too.
True.
I mean, so the only thing is when you keep reminding yourself that you're so much more, is when you will start creating that happiness in yourself and therefore around yourself. Otherwise, you'll bring up sad, discontented children. Why is anxiety so high? Why are the depression rates so high? Why are the suicide rates so high?
Why are the divorces so high?
Why are divorce rates so high?
Why more single parenting more? Why more old age homes?
Yes.
All these are because of that feeling that the broken beliefs are there, and the villains are not outside. The villains are we ourselves. The mother herself spoiling her son and daughter. The father does the same thing, and it keeps, as you said, legacy of this kind is also transferred generation after generation. Okay, I want to ask you one more question. What came to my mind is when a person says that he or she is complete, is there a daily activity she can do, a very simple activity he or she can do, so that it becomes part of a ritual, like how we brush our teeth? Can you give 4 or 5 tips on a daily basis one can do?
Yeah. So again, before we get into it, I want to remind our viewers, and I want to remind myself, that self-love is a journey. Okay.
True.
There is not a station or a destination where you'll arrive and you'll get on and say, I've reached. No, it's a daily, you are on that train. Sometimes you fall off the train, but then you jump back onto the train. Yeah, you have to get it. It's like when you're running on the platform in Mumbai, where you run to get onto that train, you have to be like that. You have to get onto that self-love train. Sometimes we fall off. It's perfectly normal. But whenever we remember, we have to get back. And this is one activity. Since you said brushing teeth, I said, okay, this is one thing which we can do, which is when you're brushing your teeth, instead of thinking of, coffee banana, breakfast banana, what is it that I'm going to make? Look at yourself in the mirror and you can say this, just say, you're awesome. You're gorgeous. How wonderful you are. Just that. It is the simplest thing that we can say. Just say whatever, praise yourself. Praise yourself. It's okay. No one else is doing it. Forget all the things that you've been told that it's vain. It's not vain. It's true. You are a gorgeous, amazing woman. Remember that and remind yourself of that every single day. That's it. That is one thing that you can do. There is another one, which is not that simple. Okay. Now, this is something that, in fact, I did it with my class just today. And it's a very simple thing. It is, take a book, open a book and write down 108 things that you have done in life. So when you ask people, oh, what have you done in your life? You say, oh, I have not done anything. But then you were born. That was the first thing that you did. Okay. Then you learn to walk. You went to school, you graduate, you came out of 10th standard. A lot of people don't pass 10th standard. You passed 12th standard. A lot of people don't pass 12th. You graduated. A lot of people don't graduate. You worked. You look after your family. Even when you're unwell, you get out of bed and do. Those are all things that you do. So when you start writing those 108 things, you will realize, because we are always telling ourselves we are failures and we don't do anything. We have nothing to our credit. But when you start writing that down, you will realize so much you have within you. In fact, just this morning, one of the participants on my session, she said, you know what? I used to always think that I was a failure. I used to always think that मैंने जिंदगी में किया है. Saying, but I wrote 108 and I can write 108 more.
Because I think everything was attached to money. If you earn money, then you get the respect.
Or fame, or fame, sorry.
Yeah, everything is attached to external things like fame, money, popularity, designation, career, company, brand. All these are Western concepts.
Okay.
No, all those are required for
Yeah,
survival. All those required for survival.
yeah,
We created all that for our daily survival. It is not
yeah,
required. It is nothing to be connected with my self-worth.
absolutely.
All
Mm,
those are required for my survival, and too much of
mm,
hype has been given because of that Western concept. That's when I say Western concept, because
mm,
too much of your self-identity is based on your career designation.
mm.
We
Yeah,
don't require that. Even without a job, I can be a housewife and feel good about myself. As you said,
yes,
I take care of my home. I keep the home clean. I cook. Without
yes,
that, it's going to be a complete mess.
absolutely.
The vibe
And
in the house is going to be a mess if the house is not clean.
completely, yeah.
If I don't
No,
wash
and the women have to remember that because they take care, they have taken the responsibility of taking care of all these things, their partner can go out and work without thinking twice. And very sadly, it has been in relationships. You also see one of the grudges that women have, where I've worked with them, where they say is that, if he's upset with something, he can just dust his backside and go out of the house. But if I have to go, I have to ensure that there is food for everyone else, that the pets are taken care of, the mother-in-law is taken care of. I can't do the same thing. And that is so true. But so if they remember that they are the base for holding the house together, for holding the family together, it will also help them. But they have to remind themselves daily instead of saying, oh, I'm just a housewife.
not even
Yeah.
housewives, even
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients coming who are highly talented, who are in a very good
Yeah.
position. And since they have compromised on their self-worth, they didn't realize that they're compromising on their self-worth when it started. And they don't even
Mm.
remember when it started. They're
Yeah.
them losing their self-worth. They don't even remember that. So
Mm.
how do we keep reminding ourselves that this is the checkpoint for me where I'm losing self-love, self-respect, self-worth? What are the checkpoints? Because it is hijacked. It doesn't happen overnight. We hijack ourselves in the concept of self-worth, losing the self-worth. So how
Mm.
do you keep doing the checkbox? Check it. Okay, this is where I'm losing my self-worth. This is where I'm losing. This is where I'm not involving the process of completing myself. Where does
Mm.
it all start, and how do we sustain that kind of energy?
Uh, it's a very complex question that you've thrown at me, because there's no one easy solution for it. But yes, but before we lose our self-worth, we lose our own self. We lose our identity. And we just become either a designation in the office, or who are we? We are a
Role,
daughter-in-law or a mother.
a role play, a role.
Yeah, that's those roles we are playing. And because we are playing all these roles, we may be a vice president outside, but when we come home, we go back into the role of being the mother. So what happens there is, in between playing all these roles, we forget our own needs. We forget what we really loved. We forget what makes us laugh. We forget what used to bring that sparkle in our eyes. So every day, if you can do just one thing, or okay, forget every day might be difficult for you, once a week, find time for yourself and do something that you really love. Eat something that you really love. Every day we are cooking for everyone else, we forget to cook for ourselves, right? Which brings us right to the start of the topic. So that's what happens. So at least once a week. And don't lose your hobbies, interests, and friends. I tell these to every young girl. When you are in a relationship, don't forget your friends, because the romance of a relationship, it's natural. It'll last for 3 months, 4 months. After that, you have to start maneuvering and managing that relationship. And while you're doing that, you need support. So it's important that we also move away from our roles. And you know how it is when we meet our old college friends or schoolmates. We are so different. Or when we meet our childhood buddies, we are so different because they knew us when we were we. So do something that is enjoyable for you. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for your time and lot of valuable points. And I wish everybody follows this. And thanks for coming on my show. I think if everybody, even the man and the woman, every individual follows the tips on completing oneself, and taking some rituals and daily activities that tells that I love myself, then I think everybody can be happy. Thank you so much for your time, Sheila.
So be it.
And I'm going to
Thank you,
share all
Rinda.
your details, and all my viewers will get in touch. In the description box, will have your details and the book where they can go and buy that.
Yeah.
And I request all of you to buy the book called I Complete Me. Awesome headline. And let's see how you are implementing whatever you're saying. This is not an information channel. It has to be implemented, get into action, and see the change, because all my friends who are coming and speaking over here have implemented that in their life. And I have implemented whatever I'm promising in the channel. And that is where we are doing this. So get into action and see you. Please like and share and subscribe this channel, and you will get a lot more golden nuggets. Thank you, Sheila, for your time. Take care.
Thank you, Vibha.
Bye.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.